Hello and assalamu alaikum guys. My name is Dr. Amar. Welcome to my YouTube channel. First of all, a little introduction about myself. I am a qualified doctor in Pakistan. I have done my MBBS from 2018 to 23 from Allama Iqbal Medical College Lahore. After that, I did my house job for 1 year from 15th of June 2024 to 14th of June 2025. House job basically consists of 4 rotations, 3 months each, and my very first rotation was in the medicine ward. And on the 15th of June 2024, when I entered the ward, I had already seen the WhatsApp chat. The bed number 28 and 27 were allotted to me. 27 was empty at the moment, and when I went to bed number 28, there was a young boy. He looked Pashtun in origin. Right then, we hadn't really talked about anything. We just made basic eye contact and exchanged our salutations. He didn't talk to me in Urdu or English. He didn't try to communicate with me. We only did Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam. After that, it was my first day. I was studying. I just began taking the pulse, BP, everything. The seniors guided me, and after that, I started to converse with the patient because we have to take the history of the patient that is on our bed on the very first day. When I started talking to him, there was no response from his side. There is basically one batch on duty. When one the other batches on in ER, one batch stays on duty. They admit the patients, they allot them beds. So one of them came up to me and they told me that he is Afghan and he can only speak Persian. He couldn't even speak Pashto. Like I could have asked someone of Pashtun origin to have translated for me, but obviously no one here spoke Persian. So, anyways, that was sort of a dilemma, and he was my very first patient as a doctor, so it was a bit confusing for me. After trying to get some kind of history from him, which obviously I failed, I just looked at the notes from the ER, which mentioned he had a history of fever from a few months and on and off fever, and he had come from Afghanistan. That was just about all I knew about him. From then on, I sent his blood tests, which we just sent through the ward, so there was no patient or attendant involved. Now, after a while, his father came to the bed and I tried to converse with him again. Again, the attempt was unsuccessful because he only spoke Persian. Now, let me make it clear both of them were so poor that throughout the 30 days that they remained in the ward, they did not change clothes, they did not have a fresh pair of clothes to change into, and I had no idea about their background. I had to get some tests run to get an idea about the kid's ailment because we did not have any background history. The blood test came and his WBCs, his HB, his platelets all were reduced. So we were suspecting a hematologic malignancy or malnutrition, something on that line. So next up, after we have CBC in a patient that we're suspecting hematologic malignancy, we basically move on to get his peripheral smear. After the peripheral smear came, there were abnormal cells in it. Okay, then the report was sent to the pathology department. There's sort of a funny side to this because back then I did not know that you do not have to take the patient with you when you send a call to another department, especially if the patient is not mobile. He was mobile, okay, he was a young patient, um, still undiagnosed at the moment. So first I sent his attendant who very barely went to the patho department. He had to ask around for the department, which is a completely separate building in the medical college with us. He went there and the call came back with something written on it that kindly don't send an attendant who can't really communicate with us, and next time the doctor should come with them or something like that. So to me that seemed like that I should bring the patient with me and go myself. So I took the patient myself down from the fourth floor down to the ground floor, and then we sat him on a bike. We took him to the patho department and I sat him down obviously on a chair. I was really conscious about him throughout. And then the madam came to me and she said that you did not need to bring the patient with you. However, she did examine him thoroughly. She was a pathologist, so the clinical examination wasn't very relevant to her. Um, so she went on and immediately she checked his slide, and she made various differential diagnoses. After which she suggested that a bone marrow biopsy be done within the department. Basically, the bone marrow biopsy was done. In the meantime, I had to get his chest x-ray ultrasound done, which is done in the x-ray department, the radiology department, which is again on the ground floor. And since they were Afghan, they did not know how to communicate with anyone. They didn't know how to pay the 50 rupees fee that you have to pay, where to pay it, and there was no way for me to directly to communicate with them. So the only solution was I went with them all the way down. I basically interacted with clerics. I got to know how they deal with patients. I even ended up arguing with a few of them due to their rude behavior. That I told them, I'm a doctor and this is your behavior with even doctors. How do you even treat patients? Anyways, so the ultrasound was done, the x-rays were done, the workup was done, but the bone marrow biopsy came, and in the report he was diagnosed with a rare type of blood cancer, which we had to now consult with our onco department. We took onco on board. They told us that he needed chemotherapy sessions. Now came the time to communicate this with the attendant, so I asked him to bring a translator, which I had been personally trying to contact for a lot of days. He took out a slip and said Tarjaman, which means translator, and he said, call this number. I had been trying that number, but he kept saying, I'll come today, tomorrow. So finally, one day when he came, which was obviously a few days after the bone marrow biopsy report came. So I briefed everything to him. He told me something mind blowing, that blood cancer patients, are so common in Afghanistan, and there is no cancer hospital there. All of them come to KPK or the Punjab in Shaukat Khanum to get treated. So he said that he was basically a translator as well as the person who arranges hostels for them to stay in behind Shaukat Khanum, and that he had no personal contact with him. And he told me that this Babaji and this boy are really poor and they can't really afford anything. So once I had communicated with him, he conveyed the father everything and he thought it over for a few days, after which he communicated the decision to the translator, and he told me that basically the father and the boy, they had come from Afghanistan, from a city that was 36 hours away from Kabul. Firstly, the boy had been sick on and off from 6 months in his home city. He was taken to Kabul where he was treated a bit. It was thought that was some kind of a disease, an infective disease. They tried to treat him, but it failed. So after that, they applied for a visa to Pakistan, but the visa failed. They had to come in illegally to Pakistan. They came to Quetta, where the boy was diagnosed with, as far as I remember, they only diagnosed him with gastroenteritis, which is kind of disappointing. Okay, so they treated him, they sent him back. They had already spent so much money on his treatment, and now they were basically completely broke. The second time around, they came again. Someone told them to come to Shaukat Khanum, but since Shaukat Khanum was really expensive for them, they came to Jinnah instead. Mind you, they had no CNIC. They were being treated here completely free of cost in Jinnah Hospital, even though they were not even Pakistani, because they apparently there are a lot of patients that are treated this way, which is a good thing, I guess. So the translator told me that the father has said with a really heavy heart that he understands that his boy has an ailment which has a really poor prognosis, and that he does not have any money. They have already spent a lot of money to come here to Pakistan, and it costs a lot to go back, a lot on the lines of 30,000 to go back to his city, even from Pakistan to Kabul, and from Kabul 36 hours away to their hometown. So he said that right now he is walking. If he, God forbid, dies here, how will me, an old man, take him back to Kabul and then to his home city? For that reason, he said, just discharge us so that I can take him home, and just give us whatever treatment plan you have, and I will try to get it done there, but there isn't really any hope. I tried to counsel him. I discussed it with my PGR, and ultimately the call was of the consultant to discharge them or not. So the next day I had an ER. On ER day, uh, there are 6 batches. 5 of them have ER. One is on the ward, as I had told before. So those 5 batches do not visit the ward. They are basically on ER duty for 12 hours, which alternate in morning and evening. The next day, when I came to the ward, I got to know that he had been discharged, which was really heartbreaking to me that he had gone. And I really still think about him to this day. He was a 14-year-old boy, a really cheerful boy, and unlike the kind of stigma people hold about Afghans and about people from abroad, he was a really nice kid. His father was a nice man. They couldn't communicate, but they never did anything wrong here. They were really friendly, and I, for one, cannot forget my first patient. I really hope that there was some kind of treatment that they found there. However, that it's really important for cancer hospitals to be open throughout the world, especially Afghanistan and countries like these that are really deprived of all kinds of health facilities. I hope this story was somewhat. I hope you could somewhat understand the emotions of the father of the boy in the story and what doctors go through in the process. We really try our best. I have never seen a single doctor who didn't give his all in a government hospital for his patients, and I really hope that all patients get the treatment that they deserve and no one has to be sick. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, like and subscribe so that I can share more content with you and keep on sharing my house job journey. Allah Hafiz and goodbye.